again. So it seems like at the moment this is a daily thing. Today is a bit different. My ego, or my physical mind, doesn't want me to make this video. Let me just give you the lowdown real quick. Today, the passion is there to speak about my spiritual awakening, the story, the experience of it all, and give the background as to why I am sitting here talking in front of a camera in a room on my own with really bright lights in my face. It's all a bit odd, and I just want to be able to describe to you why I'm here and what it was that caused all of this madness. And my physical mind doesn't want to do it. My negative ego, shall we say, for lack of a better term, is kind of saying, well, this isn't about me, per se. My sharing isn't about me. So why would anybody be interested in my experience? It all seemed in my head a bit, me. But the passion's there to speak about it. And I remember actually watching a video a few years ago after the experience that I'd had, of a guy, his name was Gopi Krishna, who explained basically, in essence, what it felt to me as the same or very, very similar experience. And I remember how amazing it made me feel, because finally I wasn't alone in my experience. Because once an experience, for example, a Kundalini awakening or any sort of real shift in that happens within, after that you do feel alone. Because you can't really relate. I certainly couldn't relate to society anymore. I couldn't relate to my friends in the same way. I wasn't a social guy. My mind wasn't mentally telling me, oh, I should do this because that'll be socially cool, or I should speak this way because that will make me seem more normal. My mind wasn't there for social interactions anymore. It had been, and I'll get into this a little bit more in a moment, almost taken away from me, my mind. The saying, I'm losing my mind, we have this connotation of, or at least I did before the awakening, that somebody losing their mind is crazy. It depends how you define crazy, because I certainly am, but not in the way some might mean it. But really, actually, that term, I'm losing my mind, was very true. Because it's not like I was losing my mind. No, I lost my mind. I couldn't think. After the awakening, which I will get into a bit more, my mind had gone. You know, sometimes I try and relate it to people, like I was saying a moment ago, it was hard to relate. So sometimes I tried to relate to people by saying it's almost like all of the negative thoughts that constantly were rushing around in my head that I had perceived as me or my thoughts had gone. I was left the witness inside of complete silence. And it got to a point where I was almost wishing, shall we say, for my mind back. I knew that my mind was causing me all of my pain, but I was sat there almost thinking, I don't know if I like this. I'm in silence now. Inside. I'm not used to this. I remember one day, I think I was crying, or at least very sad. Well, I'm getting emotional now. And I just thought, I want my old life back. I want to think again. And I don't mean you lose the ability to think. You can think and you can plan, daily tasks, or plan the best route to get to work because the traffic might be bad. I'm just being silly now, but you get the picture. You can think, but all of the negative, almost nostalgic negative identity that you had, or I had, was gone in an instant. Done. Silence. Oh shit. What the fuck? What's just happened? Anyway, I didn't expect that to come out, all of that, but clearly it's necessary because people might resonate with that. If I'd have had somebody tell me that when I was going through it, it might have made it a bit easier. I don't know. I just want to say, actually, it's not as though, although I was just saying that I felt sad that my mind was gone and perhaps there was a nostalgic feeling that maybe I wanted it back because this new life felt so different to me. Obviously, I do need to say this, I realised very quickly after that, and actually that's not true, not very quickly after that, but now, that I would not have it any other way. And I haven't met anyone on my journeys and on my travels that sees it as a negative thing anymore. They might do at the start, and that's valid. That's really valid, because something has happened and taken away your identity completely, and you're left there mopping around like, oh my god, what's happened? Trying to piece by piece bring your identity back in, but it doesn't feel the same. Things that you used to do and have fun with, and perhaps ways that you used to think that were kind of almost comforting, even though they were negative, they were kind of comforting. You can't bring back in because there's a space now between them. There's actually a space within. You're like, that doesn't feel the same. There's no nostalgia. It's not me anymore. These are quite vague ways of describing it, but for somebody that's been through it, they may understand what I'm saying. I don't know. I barely understand what I'm saying sometimes. I'm just hoping this, I don't know, helps. So, to the experience. Ironically, if you're from the UK, you'll know what this is. I was on a lad's holiday in Kavos, which is in Greece. It's a party island. And we were partying, having fun, drinking, dancing, swimming in the pool, sunbathing, eating amazing food, as you do on a lad's holiday. Sorry, I say amazing food. It depends how you define it. Subway and absolute crap, really, to be honest with you. Anyway, we were having fun on our lad's holiday, and one night I went out and I didn't bother drinking. I don't know why. It was weird. That was odd for me. It seemed odd, but there was a feeling inside that I didn't need to, nor did I want to. So I was completely sober, out partying, dancing. I had a water in my hand. I remember looking up to the sky, and just this thought. I think I closed my eyes or something, and I was partying away. And I think something just switched in me. I was looking around inside as I was dancing, and I was just like, oh, there's nobody here. I mean, I closed my eyes, I was looking around my body, and I'm like, I can't find what I define as me, this negative me. I think I should just say that I was feeling a lot of pain, actually, obviously from my broken heart. My emotional pain was there, and I had been getting fed up with it, and I was dancing, and I'm just like, this me looking inside this, or I think it was maybe just a realization in the moment. This painful identity that I have, my broken heart, I can't find it anywhere. And in that moment, I just felt fine. There was a thought that was just like, there's nobody here. And with that, the pain was pretty much gone in that moment. Anyway, it's not the full story. So I went to sleep that night, woke up the next day, and I woke up to this amazing peace that was pulled in my stomach here. Just blissful, ethereal, silky, stern, feeling peace in my tummy. Sometimes we say, I feel really peaceful. And really it's just like people saying, oh, I feel nothing, or whatever. No, this was feeling peace. A feeling. And it was amazing. Almost like somebody had put their hand in boiling hot water, but at the same time, freezing cold ice. So you're at that perfect temperature of just, hello, lovely temperature. And they put it inside my stomach. That was similar to what the feeling was. And it felt great. So I put my attention on that. And it was blissful. Again, I'm rambling because this really isn't the main point. So after that happened, I was so focused on this internal feeling peace that for the next, it could have been day, it could have been 2 days, I'm not sure, because I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I went totally silent, totally inside into this feeling peace. And my mind, for like 2 days, was going about 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I think what was happening was my mind was trying to process, was trying to really work out what I was. And I think after 2 days of continuous, just absolute thought, I'm not that, 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 bam, I'm not that, this thought, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that. With my focus being on that feeling, that peaceful feeling in my belly, I think what was the most disconcerting part of it all was I was in total silence. I wasn't talking to anyone. We'd been out for meals. My friends were still partying. So was I, sober, but I was kind of partying. But I wasn't really there. I was in total silence, in total focus. And the mad thing was, I didn't realise I was in silence. I didn't even notice. I was so focused inside that I didn't know. Until we were sat down at a meal, and one of my friends turned to me and he said something, and I laughed, like, you know when you're not really concentrating, like, yeah. He said something what I assumed was funny, like, yeah. And he said something like, oh, and Jamie would have probably said this if he was paying attention or could be bothered to say anything. And in that moment I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm here. I've been here the whole time. I'm not being quiet. But there's a lot going on. What do you mean? I'm totally here. And in that moment, it was kind of a bit weird because I was like, oh, yeah, I've been silent for like 2 days and not even known it. I wonder what my friends must have thought. Anyway, still not the end of the story. Long old story, isn't it? But it's all true. And I hope that somehow it helps somebody to really, now the crux of it, the real experience. That day, we went out into the sun, boiling hot weather, and I remember looking up at this perfect blue sky. No clouds, just perfect blue. And I was looking up, and you know sometimes you just kind of lose focus and you sort of go into your body and you're just looking up and it's just, it's kind of relaxed within your heart, relaxed within yourself. You're like, and I don't know how long I was there for. And I was looking up at the sky, and then in an instant, a vibration literally twinged off from the top of my head in this, I think this bit here, and it just went, the vibration went off, and I was so focused on the sky that I didn't really take my attention to the vibration, so the vibration went off. It was an odd thing, I mean, if I was in my normal state of mind, I'd have probably gone, oh, that was weird, what's going on, am I dying? But the vibration went, and I was still so focused, I didn't care. It's just like, whatever, woof, focus on there. And then in that moment, because I hadn't focused on what had happened, I'd almost given up on all of my worries totally in that moment. And in that second, in that split second, my life changed forever. It went from there, all the way from my perineum, in between your genitals and your bum and your anus, came an internal burst of wind all the way up my spine, to the top of my head, out my mouth, out the top of my head, in this absolute explosion of bliss and ecstasy like I'd never, ever, ever felt before. And I'd been doing drugs before this point. I don't mean that day or that week even, it's Greece, you can't get drugs out there. But like in the months before, I'd been smoking weed. And I thought that was what I was looking for. That was the feeling that I'd been looking for. And once this happened, I was like, oh shit, that's what I've been looking for all my life. This feeling of just bliss, ecstasy, all-encompassing, like oneness, this feeling, knowledge of just, oh wow, how much time I've wasted. Regardless, with that also went my mind. Totally gone. Ego out the window. And once the ego was gone, I just kept getting these insights, these intuitions, these things that I could never have ever known. And it was happening on scale, and every time one came in, it was almost like my consciousness switched. I was like, oh wow, oh, how wrong I'd had life. And it came with a feeling of like, this is how life is, this is how life is, this is how life is, this is how life is. Not the way you've done it, this is how it is. And it just builded, is that the word? It built and built and built and built until it climaxed. And when it climaxed, that was that. I was in this space, this eternal stillness, this feeling silent stillness, pristine, crystallized awareness. And for a long time after that experience, I thought that I wanted the experience again. And this is something that I feel if somebody goes through a Kundalini awakening, they chase the experience again. When in fact, what we are really yearning for is that pristine stillness that you can be delivered into in every moment. There's nowhere you need to go. If you have the awareness to stop your thoughts and just feel inside your body, feel that space behind your hands, the space behind your eyes that's looking at me through your computer screen as I look at you through my camera, that space that we are behind the body. That's really where the Kundalini awakening takes you to. So, I say this because nobody needs a Kundalini awakening. I genuinely believe the only reason I had it was because I was so fucking messed up before. I'd got the world so wrong before that actually I needed a big punch in the face to realise, oh shit, what I've been looking for, I have always been. But because I'd messed my mental field up so much, I was missing. Because I never thought it was enough. if that makes sense. Once the Kundalini awakening had happened and my mind had gone, I felt obviously totally blissed out in every moment. I was walking around like I was pissed drunk everywhere, so happy. I had so much love within me that I could just hand it out willy-nilly. I didn't have to control people by being nasty or whatever. I didn't care. I was just, you want this? Bam, bam, you're great. Wow, you do that excellently. Thank you so much for being here and a part of my life. That lasted about a month. After that month had happened, actually what happened was the ego came back in. And this was the toughest part, really, for me. Because I was like, oh, well, what's happened? Was I not good enough for this experience or something? Or because my ego's back and it's really causing me havoc. The silence has now gone. What do I do? So I kept, because I knew at that point where the Kundalini awakening had taken me to that space, that spacious awareness behind my body. I knew to just hold space there. Hold space there. And after a while, the mind left again to a degree. But it comes in cycles. It came in cycles. Silence, ego. Silence, ego. And each time the ego came back, it came back for shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter periods of time. Whilst this was happening, I was doing my law degree, which was the most difficult thing, because like I said in the last video, the Kundalini brings up all of your limiting beliefs. It brings up all of the crap, all of the fears that you haven't dealt with, and it amplifies them so that you have to deal with them. And sometimes it can feel like, I cannot deal with this. I can't deal with it. And I missed 3 exams. Because of it. Because I could not deal with the fear of failure. The possibility that I might fail in those exams. It hurt, that fear, so I didn't go to the exams. It was like a depression, but on a level that was actually like an existential crisis. Like this, I could die, and then it was madness. But again, whenever I felt that, I'd return to the space. And like I was saying earlier, the ego cycles got shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And this happened over a period of a few years. So if you are going through something like this, don't expect that it should happen quickly. You're all right as you are. It might happen quickly, and I hope it happens a lot quicker for you than it did for me. But I was always wondering, I was sat there wondering, am I doing this right? Have I got all of this wrong? Because it's taking such a long time for the ego to fully leave. It still hasn't. I'm not sure it ever will, but I have the awareness now to see it for what it is. It's not me. It's just my ego, my physical mind, my negative mentality. I think this time I've outdone myself, because I've now rambled for what looks like 28 minutes or so. It will probably be less because I might have to edit some bits so that you're not there watching me in silence. But yeah, 28 minutes of rambling. I hope it's good stuff, I'm not sure. For somebody that's had a Kundalini awakening, this was my experience. For some, it can... that blissful burst that you get can continue for some time. And then when the bliss leaves you, because it will, and it's fine that it does, when that bliss leaves you, it can come again in like waves and can continue for some years as well. And what I found for me the best thing, as these Kundalini bursts of bliss came over the next few years, what I found to be really helpful was to use those little bliss bursts as almost catalysts for my self-improvement, catalysts for my spiritual growth. So when something like that happened, oh, wow, yeah, that's what I'm here for. It almost was a reminder to get on the meditation seat, or a reminder to come back in and really focus on the inner work that needs to be done. Anyway, so there's my Kundalini awakening experience. I feel deeply that it's different for everyone. It's not necessarily that everyone just gets this quick shot, this quick burst of energy. Like I said earlier, I feel that was just because I was a prat and I had life so wrong before that I needed a punch in the mouth to actually sit me down on my seat and focus me in that direction. Otherwise I'd have never gone that way, probably, most likely. For some, the Kundalini happens in a different way, and it's a more slower, a more natural, a more gradual extension, a more gradual process where you clear your inner field, and the Kundalini clears your inner field more, like I say, naturally, and over a longer period of time, perhaps. Sometimes it's actually not. Sometimes the person who has the firework awakening is a little bit slower because they feel like they've done it all already, when actually they haven't. They come back to earth and there's a lot more work to be done. So it's not necessarily that the more natural, more gradual approach is any worse, is any less good. It doesn't make the other person better or worse. It's just that actually sometimes the person who's doing it the more gradual way may get there quicker, because the firework awakening person, at least this was my experience, thinks, because the ego's grabbed hold of the experience when it comes back in, oh, I've done it all, you know, I'm basically God now. And actually for some people it can go to real degrees where they come up with messiah complexes. Oh, I'm Jesus. And I think actually maybe that people who go crazy, or people that are locked up in psychiatric wards or whatever, that say they're God or things like this, actually probably are really experiencing that. I don't feel that they're crazy at all, and that actually maybe they had a Kundalini awakening and they were not taken care of afterwards. Either they didn't take care of they didn't nurture their spiritual baby, so to say, afterwards, or they were unfortunate and a teacher was not available at that time for them. Luckily for me, I was so lucky to have a teacher. I'll go ahead and say for me it was divine permutation, or whatever the word is, that I was led there to my teacher, and he was amazing. Thank God for him. My saviour, I'll say. Yeah, a great guy. Yes, a ramble. Call me the Rambler. Maybe we should change the channel name to Jamie's Mad Ramblings. Anywho, I think now that'll do, because yeah, we've heard enough of me. I've certainly heard enough of my voice, and the football's on. Well, it started half an hour ago. Southampton are playing Newcastle, and I want to go and watch it. So I'm going to go and watch it. I love you all. I hope this made coherent sense. I hope it helps someone. I hope that if you're going through the same thing, the words that just came out of my mouth make you feel not so alone. Yeah.